This episode, along with hundreds of others from Calaroga Shark Media, is available without commercials. Just look for the banner on your Apple Podcast app to subscribe and try it free for a month.
Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Royal author Tom Quinn believes that the American Riviera Orchard, Meghan Markle's business venture, has encountered serious trouble due to Prince Harry's lack of entrepreneurial drive, which is reportedly straining their marriage. Speaking to the Mirror, Quinn stated, Harry has never had any real idea about becoming an entrepreneur or a businessman in his own right. He is trained from birth to do only one thing, to be a royal, and he has thrown that away. His 100% support for his wife and her business ventures has never wavered, but it hasn't been enough to make a success of a company. Quinn argues that Meghan's self-belief is not translated into business success. Meghan is proof that self-belief won't always guarantee success. It won't always make you a great entrepreneur and businesswoman. This update follows reports from OK magazine that Meghan misses her carefree pre-royal life due to constant media scrutiny. A source close to the Sussexes revealed Meghan has made no secret of how much she misses her carefree life when she was an actress, and while she'd never changed what she has with Harry and the kids, there is a big part of her that she wishes she could just get her old life back. She loved being in suits and all the opportunities it gave her. She'd get invited to all the exclusive events and get to hang out with Hollywood A-listers, but there was so much less scrutiny and attention. There was no pressure on her. Psychotherapist Jen Lally spoke to The Express about what is being referred to as Meghan Markle's perpetual victimhood. Lally said, it's an interesting dynamic which could be interpreted as a continuation of her portrayal as a victim in the public eye. This approach could be seen as an attempt to garner public sympathy by highlighting her own adversities. This is typical victimhood. It can take the focus away from the bigger picture. A victim's narrative tends to spotlight their individual struggles, reinforcing a perception of perpetual victimhood. This might be perceived as a strategic move to draw emotional support and reinforce a public image as someone who has endured significant personal challenges. This is fair enough, but it becomes tiring in the public's eyes. In the Daily Mail, Richard Eden writes under the headline, Why Palace insiders are unimpressed by Harry's tasteless attempt to claim his grandmother's support in his continuing crusade. According to Eden, one of the most undefining aspects of Prince Harry's feud with his brother has been his apparent desire to claim ownership of his mother's legacy. Scarcely a speech or interview can pass without a reference to the late Princess Diana and his claims about her wishes. Harry's latest television interview suggests that he is now trying to invoke the memory of his late grandmother too. Sadly, the Queen is no longer available to support Harry's claim or deny it, so perhaps it would be instructive to look at her actions. It is a tribute to the late Queen's warm relationships with her grandchildren that all 8 felt deeply loved. Harry, though, was convinced that he was in some way unique. For example, in an interview with an American journalist 5 months before her death, he claimed that he enjoyed a special relationship with the monarch. Preposterously, he declared he was protecting Queen Elizabeth from the people around her, even though he had been living in North America for more than 2 years. Convinced he was indeed special, Harry had become increasingly frustrated that he was unable to see his grandmother in person to discuss his plans to move abroad with his new wife, Meghan. What then do we make of Harry's bold new claim that the late Queen had supported his controversial legal campaign against the press? Did she really take such a gung-ho view of these things? One courtier I spoke to this week was far from happy with Harry's tasteless attempt to claim his grandmother's support in his continuing crusade. As he told me, there is something distinctly off about it. We'll never know what was said between grandson and grandmother. What we do know is that we will only ever know one side of the story. Royal expert Jenny Bond tells OK magazine, I suspect that Meghan is a commercial woman with philanthropic ideas aplenty, but her driving force is to capitalize on her fame and ensure that she and Harry have enough money for all their needs. I'm not quite convinced that she is totally signed up to a life of service, so I imagine there will be occasional forays into charity work and makeshift royal tours, but I think she is a businesswoman at heart, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Meghan has made her feelings about royal life abundantly clear and appears to be looking forward rather than dwelling on the past. She has said her piece about life with the royals, and now she has moved on. Palace Intrigue, I'll be right back. Prince Edward, now happily married to Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, had an interesting romantic history before meeting her, One of his most notable past relationships was with West End star Ruthie Henschel. The couple had an on and off relationship for 6 years, starting in the late 1980s when Ruthie was starring in Cats. During her appearance on Radio 4's Desert Island Discs, Henschel shared anecdotes from their time together, including being smuggled into Buckingham Palace to see Edward. She recalled attending family cookouts where King Charles, then a prince, would turn the sausages. Ruthie described her relationship with Edward as genuine love, but eventually ended it due to her career commitments. Despite the breakup, they remained on good terms, and she attended Edward and Sophie's wedding in 1999. Ruthie mentioned she still has Edward's phone number and holds no negative feelings towards the royal family. Ruthie also revealed that Edward would often call her for professional engagements when he was working as a production assistant. Their romance developed over such interactions, and she fondly remembered being invited to watch A Star is Born at the palace, an experience that left her somewhat starstruck. Prince Andrew, who has retreated from public life, reportedly has a new hobby to keep himself occupied along his quiet horse rides around Windsor. Following his controversial connections with Jeffrey Epstein and the disastrous Newsnight interview, the Duke of York stepped down as a working royal in 2019. Since then, he has been living at Royal Lodge, his 30-room home on 98 acres of Windsor estate. Locals have noted that Andrew has become quite reclusive, rarely leaving his residence except for the horse rides and golf. One source mentioned that he often rides his horses in remote areas of Windsor Great Park to avoid attention. Additionally, he is a regular at Swinley Forest Golf Club near Ascot, considered one of the UK's most exclusive clubs. Despite his retreat from the public eye, Andrew maintains a close relationship with ex-wife Sarah Ferguson. They often walk their dogs together, including the corgis they inherited from the late Queen Elizabeth. They continue to live together at Royal Lodge, sharing the main living spaces. Insiders claim Andrew is very family-focused, spending quality time with friends and family, including his daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, and his 3 grandchildren. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or the app of your choice. Write us a review, leave 5 stars if you love the show. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue. Good times.